we're going to talk about the US tariffs on Mexican and Canadian imports. So, the proposal from the US refers to a protection of the internal markets like a import substitution industrialization that we used here in Mexico and Latin America in 1960, and generally the world used it in and before World War II. So basically what it means is to encourage internal industry to produce more and to protect their industrial markets. The current situation internationally means that there's a lot of tension from the USA and Canada against Mexico, because there is an elimination of certain autonomous institutes that refer to a more autonomous market and referring to having more complexity on their markets. Also, there has been a lot of things happening around. For example, the war in Ukraine, the war in Palestine, COVID-19. There's a lot of going on that have made inflation rates going higher, and also that have been making the USA have problems with Mexico. But there's a problem with this equation. That means Mexico and Canada are the biggest commercial associates to the USA. Hi, I'm gonna talk about dispute settlements. So I found out that a real country has had problems with this, being Nigeria. They have had some disputes with regional trade organizations such as the Economic Community of West African States and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa. These disputes regularly focus on tariff implementations, non-tariff barriers, and compliance with regional trade agreements. Trade disputes have sometimes surfaced over cross-border trade policies and custom regulations, with resolutions found upon mediation or arbitration given by these organizations. So basically what this means is that the commissions or the organizations are the ones that have the capacity to find a resolution. So now the question would be, what would happen if Nigeria suddenly and abruptly one day decides to implement higher tariffs to try and benefit their economy?
Thank you, Juan Pablo. Regarding this channel's predictions, it is evident that after the US tariffs come into play, the local market will suffer from an increase in the price of the good. Also, the local suppliers will try to cover the demand, but will be able to do so only at a higher price. Finally, the US government will benefit from higher contributions due to the taxes, but its local market would suffer a significant disruption. At the international level, the US tariffs will decrease the price of the imported good for the exporting countries, and also will decrease the world demand of the good. Also, Canada and Mexico could retaliate with tariffs of their own, which will further disrupt the regional market. Finally, some of the commerce currently tied to US markets might even move to cheaper markets such as Asia. Regarding policy recommendations, we propose first a revaluation of the elimination of the 7 Mexican institutions that protect fair competition practices, such as transparency and anti-monopoly regulations, which are the kind of legislation that the US demands from its partners. And finally, to prevent further alienation due to Mexican commerce with China, it should set higher tariffs on key Chinese products, especially those directly in competition with US goods, while also allowing for Chinese products important from Mexican industries to still come into the country. Recent commercial trends seem to hint at a growing want for protectionist measures, as well as backbone neighbor postures. Amidst such a reality, we can look at the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership as a beacon of hope, as it aims to become the gold standard for trade. The CPTPP can boast a membership of about 40% of world trade, but more than that, it also pushes for high standards of economic cooperation and trade, which include environmental protection, labor rights, and even tackle some of the biggest concerns regarding e-commerce and service trade. The CPTPP also aims to remain a dynamic and living agreement, so they focus on ascension, growing their membership, and a progressive stewardship, which means maintaining those high standards across all of its members. Finally, when we look at export and import trends, we note that the CPTPP has greatly benefited intra-membership supply chain trade, which means that its members have been able to import and export raw materials and similar components needed for the production of final products. So, what do we think? Is the CPTPP really a golden standard for a more fair and sustainable trade? Or is it simply the remnants of a long-lost era of economic cooperation?
Good night, everybody, and welcome to our news station. Tonight, we are taking a closer look at Japan's industrial policy and its approach of managing international trade. Known as a global economic powerhouse, Japan balances innovation-driven growth with protective measures for its domestic industries. And here's what our investigation reveals. Let's start with Japan's industrial policy. Over the years, the Japanese government has been led by the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, and has implemented strategies to foster technological innovation and sustainability. For example, Japan invests heavily in research and development, allocating 3% of its GDP annually to areas like robotics, artificial intelligence, or renewable energy. While Japan champions open trade through agreements like the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, it also maintains significant trade barriers to protect domestic industries. For example, tariffs on agricultural imports such as rice and dairy are among the highest in the world, exceeding 700% in some cases. Beyond tariffs, Japan employs non-tariff barriers like rigorous technical standards and import quotas, and these measures uphold high quality and safety for products entering Japan, but can make it challenging for foreign businesses to compete. So what does all of this mean? That Japan's strategies illustrate a delicate balance, investing in innovation and global competitiveness while preserving key domestic industries, and it's a model that showcases economic resilience but also continues to spark debate among international trade partners. Well, for more insights into Japan's economic strategies, keep on watching this. Thank you!